И не раз.
Раскудрявый, клен зеленый листвизной, я влюбленный весьма.
Hi, welcome back to Warthog Defense. Some set for the first time in months. Russia took a hit in Sumy Oblast, losing 2 villages despite pounding the area with airstrikes. Ukrainian forces not only held the line, they pushed back and are now digging in with fresh fortifications. It's a rare bright spot in a tough fight. But make no mistake, this is just one small win in a much larger grinding war.
In Sumy Oblast, Russian forces suffered their first setback in months after losing 2 villages despite massive airstrikes. Ukrainian forces stopped the offensive and are building new fortifications. However, this is the lone good news for Ukraine. This is great analysis from Clément Molin. After months of constant progress in the direction of Sumy city, which started after Ukrainian defeat and retreat in Kursk, Russian forces have now largely been stopped. The front line remains static because both sides sent in new reserves. Ukrainian forces liberated 2 villages, Kindrativka and Andrivka, from Russian forces. This very small victory can be seen as interesting because it is the first in month. However, the price for it was very high. Men died, others were wounded in senseless counter-attacks. Seen from the space, Russian forces launched hundreds of airstrikes on both villages. On this map, you can see tens of impacts. The good point is that we can see those maps in the videos. There are many videos showing massive Russian airstrikes on those 2 villages. Every counterattack is then very costly. In general, the Russian strategy in this oblast is the same one as in the Donbass. A massive airstrikes, artillery and drone preparation and multiple infantry assaults. Then they occupy villages and crush any counterattack. However, here in Sumy, Ukrainian army has 2 big advantages on its enemy. First, a massive forest area where it can easily hide troops, artillery and drone teams, and then the Sumy city used for the same purpose. For those reasons, Ukrainian forces managed to halt Russian offensive. Airstrikes concentration remains incredibly high, 2,270 airstrikes in the region, including 500 more since the 2 weeks ago. Ukrainian engineering forces are reinforcing fortifications in the oblast for the first time since around 2 years, with new ditches. You can see a long ditch from Bilopila to Sumy. But there is one big problem. A year ago, when Ukrainian forces entered Russia, they had nearly 6 safe months to reinforce fortifications, prepare new ditches and barbed wire. They did nothing. No new fortification was prepared. Why? The apparent good news of the liberation of 2 villages shouldn't make us forget about the overall picture. Ukrainian forces have been unable for months to capture Tetkino or encircle its garrison despite constant Ukrainian airstrikes. Ukrainian fortifications remain insufficient, Ukrainian logistics are constantly targeted, and Russian presence around 20 kilometers from Sumy city is forcing Ukrainian reserves to be deployed far from the hottest front lines, Donbas, Kupiansk or Kamyansk. When analyzing different front lines in Ukraine, we can see different situations. Sumy is obviously a secondary direction. There is absolutely no risk of breakthrough to Sumy or even the capture of this regional capital, as the main fightings are going on in the east, mainly around Pokrovsk, Kharkiv or Sumy, are not priorities for Russian forces, which want first to take control of the Donbas region. However, the long border is used as a large diversion of force to put pressure on Kiev. On one side, Ukrainian forces cannot allow themselves to underman those important directions, but Russian forces in the region are not yet in capacity of pushing more, threatening those cities or opening new fronts. But we shouldn't stay with certitudes. As many saw for months, tanks and armored vehicles are not really used in the front line anymore, apart from some small-scale operations. Also, it seems Russian forces are bringing in probably more men than they are losing, according to data we cannot verify. This means all the new vehicles produced, plus the ones retired from the front lines and the men being trained must be somewhere. One day, this force will be consequent enough and may try to open a wider front line to precipitate a possible Ukrainian collapse. Sumy and Kharkiv will be directions of choice to push close to big objectives and other smaller cities. To deter this, Ukraine need to prepare better fortifications in the region now to produce more drones and destroy the Russian assets near the border. The Sobaka-Shukaka crew from the 406th Artillery Brigade on the Kherson front detected and directed artillery fire on a Russian D-30 gun, resulting in its destruction after a catastrophic ammo detonation. Despite being over 60 years old, Russia still relies heavily on the D-30 122mm howitzer. These Soviet-era guns are slow to move and limited in range, but they are cheap, available in large numbers, and still deadly when used in massed fire. On the front lines, they remain a backbone of Russian artillery, especially where more modern systems are scarce. The Russians continue to shell Pokrovsk. Russian forces continue to struggle in their attempt to capture Pokrovsk, facing stiff Ukrainian resistance and mounting losses. Progress has been painfully slow, with assaults relying on waves of poorly trained infantry and constant pressure rather than decisive breakthroughs. Ukrainian defenders are using drones and fortified positions to blunt these advances, inflicting heavy casualties and destroying vehicles almost daily. Russia's tactic appears to focus on gradual encirclement rather than direct assault, hoping to stretch Ukrainian lines and isolate the city. Despite weeks of fighting, Pokrovsk remains under Ukrainian control, and the cost for Russia keeps climbing. Uncle Putin, you are the most important person in this world. We dream of water. Save us! Children from the so-called DPR, Russian-occupied territory of the Donetsk region, appealed to Putin with a plea to provide them with water. I'm not afraid of the dark or scary stories, but I'm afraid that there won't be any water tomorrow. Uncle Vova, protect us. Let there always be water flowing in our homes, one of the kids said. Don't they know it's Uncle Vova who got them in this mess?
I believe that you are wise and strong. Uncle President, give us the simplest miracle, water in our homes.
Water is so simple, but for us, it's a luxury. We are children. We should be running, laughing, not waiting for water to be delivered to us. Uncle Vova, help us!
There are too many of us. 3 kids. It's so hard without water. Uncle President, help us!
Every morning, I wake up and hope that water comes from the tap, but there is none. Uncle President, we believe in you. Help the children of Donbas.
The present, the future of Donbas. Without water, there is no future. Uncle President, hear us.
I am the future of Donbas. How can I study, play, and dream if I don't even have water to wash my face? Dear President, we need your help.
We are the children of Donbas, and our future begins today. But without water, there is no life. Uncle Vova, help us so we can simply wash, drink, and live.
I don't want to complain, but I'm ashamed when there's nothing to wash with. Uncle Vova, help us. We also want cleanliness and health.
I am not afraid of the dark or scary stories, but I am afraid there will be no water tomorrow. Uncle Vova, protect us. Let water always flow in our homes.
Uncle Vova, we need to wash in the mornings and evenings, not like a dirty chimney sweep. Shame and disgrace, shame and disgrace. Please make it so that it's like in a good fairy tale.
My top is silent. We, the children of Donbas, endure everything. Missile strikes, drones, but without water, we won't survive. We will get lice and worms. Uncle Putin, you are the most important in this world. Some dream of a puppy or a new phone, but we dream of water. Save us.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comments section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.